Hey guys, it's Derek here. We're going to kind of look at some of the news for the first week of March. Some game announcements, some updates, some always fun industry bullshit and that kind of jazz. Anyway, so this week Sony had a sort of dump of VR titles coming for PSVR. We'll just have a look at a couple of them here. So this is Doom 3 running in PSVR. Doom 3 has had a lot of different like VR, unofficial VR versions, like fan-made stuff with rips and things like that. So this is like an official version, if you like, with enhanced textures and all that kind of thing. It would want to have some better textures, I suppose, if it has to run on your face. So you've got that. Anyway, Doom 3 VR is going to be out at the end of 29th. Blech. The end of the 29th of March, so at midnight on the 29th, I guess. Fracked looks like a kind of like alpine parkour shoot 'em up kind of thing, like a cover shooter type deal. You can skip ahead a bit. I guess you're disturbing a fracking industry or something, but lots of shooting, cover shooting. There's some parkour stuff. There's some skiing at some stage. Interesting in VR for like cover shooter because you can just sort of lean over and shoot because you don't have, you're not restricted by like a controller or whatever. Zenith, if it wasn't a VR title, it would probably be fairly uninteresting, but it is an MMO. JRPG kind of thing with like this kind of more involved combat, and then there's a bunch of story shit in the trailer that isn't all that interesting. There's more of like actual in-world, so you do glide. It is an MMO, so you've got people T-posing about the place, except that they're actually their wings. I don't know, the first time I saw the trailer I thought they were T-posing, but they're not. Anyway, I don't know, it looks kind of meh, but on the other hand, VR games do tend to look kind of meh until you're playing them and you're like, actually this is kind of fun. And if it's actual like one-to-one combat for you blocking and dodging and stuff, that might actually be interesting. After the Fall looks like a Left 4 Dead type thing, except set in like snow-filled LA that's been frozen since the 1980s or something like that. This is a cinematic trailer. There's no actual shots of gameplay or anything like that. You've got this guy who needs to have lights on both guns, just in case he needs to shine a light on an area over that way or something. I don't know. But it does go into like different ice zombies, and there's some archetypes, things like that. That's probably a come help me thing. You know, these are probably stages in the game. Different powers. There's like a brute ice zombie shows up at some stage. There he is. You know, it's got all the hallmarks of Left 4 Dead, but VR. But again, there's no gameplay in that trailer, so who knows? Who knows how it actually plays? I Expect You to Die too, so that's good. Thanks. Fuck you, video game. No, this is a sequel to I Expect You to Die, which was a sort of escape room puzzle kind of thing that doesn't take itself very seriously. It's very tongue-in-cheek, like 80s, 70s spy trappings. It's a pretty funny game. Expect You to Die 1 was, and I Expect You to Die again, or 2. Looks like it will be more of the same, so yeah, that should be interesting. And last one that they showed off is Song in the Smoke, which is a kind of survival type thing. Skip to gameplay. So like crafting, getting your food, hunting, that kind of thing. And I guess there's some kind of animal spirit journey thing happening somewhere. But again, like a lot of times, if you had said that to me and it was a not VR game, I'd said meh. But there's something about doing things in VR that just makes them different. Not to say that I will get this, but I will keep an eye on it anyway. Might get a few of these. Play at Home, which was an initiative that Sony kicked off last year when the COVID pandemic was just starting. They gave away a couple of free games basically for you to stay home and play them. I think it was on the Uncharted trilogy and the Nathan Drake collection. The Nathan Drake collection and Journey is what they gave away last year. This year they're gonna do a slightly longer initiative, so more, not necessarily more free games, but more like stuff, I suppose. But they are kicking it off with free Ratchet & Clank PS4, which is available on PlayStation Store. Don't need PS Plus or whatever, you just need a PlayStation account and I guess access to the shop, and you'll be able to get it. There's some other stuff here from Funimation, but that's not video games, so I'm not talking about it. Just a highlighted piece here is just to say that there's more on the way, and they'll have more to talk about as it comes up. Final Fantasy creator Nobu Sakaguchi has a new game out. So this is from Mistwalker, the same guys who do Lost Odyssey, Last Story, etc. All RPGs that I really want to play, but I have not gotten around to. So what they have here are, like, these are actual physically made dioramas that they used, I think, photogrammetry to make look nice. But it is like a JRPG kind of thing. Walking around in some nice, really detailed, but like really like tiny environments, and they look cool. And it's turn-based combat. An interesting thing they have here is that you can decide to not fight random encounters. So you dimension dungeon on, and you can basically send them to a pocket dimension and then fight them all later. So if you decide to fill up your dimension, you can just have that big fucking battle. I was a little concerned when I saw there's so many enemies, but then, you can hit multiple enemies with one attack and so on. So it's probably not as bad as it sounds. I imagine these damage numbers are like a developer mode where they do shit ton of damage. I doubt you'll be doing that kind of damage in the actual game, but still, this is called Fantasian? Fantasian? I don't know how you want to say it. Anyway, that's coming at some point, but one bone of contention I have for it is that it's Apple Arcade. And I have been avoiding Apple Arcade up until now, but I kind of want to play that. Aliens Fireteam was also announced this week, so this is a kind of another Left 4 Dead, but Aliens. Which is a really simple sentence to say, and you just go, yeah, that works. Just Left 4 Dead, but aliens. Yeah, absolutely. That will definitely do a megabucks. There's a trailer here to show off a bit of gameplay, or it's not even gameplay; it's more like cinematic. But there is like a proper like full mission, I think, gameplay walkthrough somewhere on the internet. I'm sure you can find it if you just type it in. I haven't had a chance to look at it myself. Looks interesting though. I'm not exactly a massive Aliens fan, but I don't know. I might play it. I doubt it, because it's online co-op or whatever, but probably not. This is Evil Inside, which is a blatant clone of PT, coming to PC and PlayStation at some stage. You've got the L-shaped corridor from PT. You've got the ghost woman who shows up every now and then. It's like very on the money. There is a prologue demo on Steam for free at the moment, which I have downloading in the background, which may have actually finished downloading. So I will probably play that and may or may not record it. I don't know. PC recording is still a bit wonky for me, so I guess we'll see. But you can check that out yourselves if you happen to have a Steam account and a PC that can run it, I suppose. Some updates. So Tales of Arise is the latest Tales of game. Tales of Berseria, Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Xillia, and all those has been missing since the beginning of 2019. We don't know what's been happening with the game, but they have come back with a new trailer and basically saying, hey, remember us? Well, we'll have news about the game this year, promise. Tales of Arise looks really, really good, and I'm only like very interested to see it because they've done like a new engine. A lot of the old Tales games have been running off their PS3 engine that was just upscaled for PS4. So this is one that's probably running on a PS4 engine and being upscaled for PS5. But like it's new, so I want to see it, and I really like the Tales games. Okay, Valve ceases Artifact development and makes both versions free because Gabe Newell thought it was a giant disappointment. So this is Valve's kind of answer to Magic the Gathering, right, which is called Artifact. The card game was not well received by the card game players of the world. It did really, really badly for Valve. They were actually kind of surprised. Biggest discrepancy between our expectations. I don't know why I highlighted stuff and they don't highlight the stuff I actually want to talk about. Anyway, they eventually said this week that, yeah, we're done. Artifact 2.0, as it was going to be called, we're going to cease development on it, and we're going to release Artifact and Artifact 2 beta for free, which is nice, which is what they have here. So it'll be Artifact Classic and Artifact Foundry, which is the abandoned Artifact 2.0. It will be unfinished and it's missing polish, but the actual gameplay is still there. Sure, why not? I mean, at least they didn't just remove the game entirely, so I guess they've got that. Gabe Newell talking about Half-Life Alyx and how that did really well for them. And then this is more of a throwback to Gabe Newell saying that there are more single-player games coming from Valve at some stage, but Valve time is Valve time, so who knows when we'll actually see them. This is more of a heads-up kind of thing, but Mario's 35th anniversary, Nintendo launched a bunch of games for it, with the biggest one probably being ports of Mario 64, Sunshine and Galaxy. They're going away the end of this month. Force scarcity on the store. You won't be able to get them anymore after the end of this month. Maybe. There's a quote down here from Doug Bowser. From just Bowser. Never mind that it's a different person. I'm going to pretend it's just Bowser. They haven't made any decision on whether or not it will come back at some point later on, but for now it's gone by April. So if you wanted to get your hands on the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, but there was also like a Game & Watch thing as well, I suppose, if you wanted to get your hands on that too. There's also like a Battle Royale Super Mario game. Sure, why not? There's a little quote here or not quote, but a little blurb, I suppose, here at the bottom, basically saying they're doing the same shit with Fire Emblem. There's like a port of, or a localized version of the original Fire Emblem, I think, coming for its 30th anniversary, but again, it will be gone at the end of March. So, yeah, I guess if you want to get them now. Okay, moving on to everyone's favorite part, industry bullshit. And for once, some industry bullshit that isn't massively depressing and making me question, why I'm actually even following video games. Because I don't have an industry not bullshit section, because it happens so rarely that it's actually good news. But Ghost of Tsushima devs are to be recognized as tourist ambassadors. So this is Nate Fox, that's Nate Fox, and Jason Connell, which is this guy, are to be made permanent tourism ambassadors at the city of Tsushima in Nagasaki. To mark the occasion, they're going to set up like a proper tourism campaign based off the game, basically, to basically say, hey, there's this thing you saw in the game, why not come to the actual island and check it out yourselves, which is pretty cool. There's some stuff here about the mayor of the city going on about how they've done like some great stuff to highlight Tsushima as like its history and its culture and things like that. And there's some good shots here of that's a good shot. Some good shots here of Tsushima Island, things like that. There's a bit here on a crowdfunding campaign that one of the torii gates in a shrine there on Tsushima was damaged during a typhoon, and they put up like a crowdfund thing, and like a bunch of Ghost of Tsushima fans pledged to it, and it ended up getting like 540% of what I was asking for. So clearly the game has done wonders for the island, and it's also a good game. So good stuff. Good to see. Take-Two CEO says players are ready for a price increase on games. Fuck you. No, you're not. We do not want this. Take-Two CEO, of course it's Take-Two, Strauss Zelnick thinks that players are ready to see a price increase on games because they haven't gone up in a few years. That was his thing. It's just because they haven't gone up. You know what also hasn't gone up? Pay. Salary has not gone up for people since that year either. Like it's 78. They want to increase it by a tenner, right? For no real appreciable difference in gameplay. No, and then they're also like microtransactions and shit in the 2K games. Like, fuck off, Strauss. Maybe eat some shit instead. This is going back to a story we did last week where as a creative designer, I think. Anyway, on Hogwarts Legacy was found out to be a right-wing shithead, and he's resigned. He says he was not forced or anything like that. Yeah, I'm sure. He's just to say that to save face for everybody, but whatever. Hogwarts Legacy developer Troy Levitt has resigned from Avalanche Software after discussion of his old YouTube channel blew up online last month. So stuff about him doing like defending John Lasseter after his sexual harassment allegations, suggesting this whole journalist bias shit, which was Gamergate, and then going on about The Last Jedi, which, I mean, of course. Anyway, there's some stuff here about Liam Robertson highlighting it from Did You Know Gaming, just bringing up which was what kind of kicked off the whole thing. And then some extra stuff where Bloomberg was talking about this trans option for the Hogwarts character creator, which isn't actually really, because you're still locked to a gender thing for Witcher Wizard. So it's like it's not really a trans inclusive thing, but whatever. Yeah, wow, that's a headline. Activision Blizzard hires Bush era torture apologist as chief compliance officer. Of course it does. Of course it does. Francis F. Townsend, a former Bush era counterterrorism appointee and torture apologist, would become its new head of compliance. Incredible. So, like the actual quote used for herself is just to bring up like regulations that can be brought in from games, but then also about loot boxes and how they might not understand. Often legislators are legislating on things they're not entirely familiar with, and when they do that, it can have consequences that they didn't intend, like torture. Like when it's not Activision's place to step in on that kind of thing. Anyway, there's some stuff where they go in about her history. She visited like Abu Ghraib, and the people present there felt pressured to increase their information output, which basically meant more torture, please. She went on to kind of defend the use of torture, waterboarding, sleep deprivation, forced feeding, forced nudity, that kind of thing, and then complained that the unredacting, is dacting a word? Anyway, that later came out where it highlighted that they were, like the CIA was doing all this shit. She basically said, this is unfair because we might have congressional investigation against our actual illegal activities. How terrible for us. And then there's another piece thrown in here by Kotaku that is going back to, I think, a couple of weeks ago, where Activision were accused of not following the Rooney Rule that was like, get more diverse candidates in your new positions, and Activision threw that back as saying an unworkable encroachment on the company's ability to run its business and compete for talent, because they're shitheads, I guess. They threw it back to say that the Rooney Rule? Yes, the Rooney Rule failed to adequately consider how to apply these practices in all the countries. Except so many other companies are able to do it, but not Activision for whatever reason. But Ethan Gach here throws in, maybe their new acquisition with her vast prior experience will be able to help Activision finally figure out how to actually do that. I don't know. She is coming in as compliance officer. Okay, Sinking City, the Stinking City. I'm gonna start calling it because this is some terrible shit happening here. So you may recall from last week and prior weeks before that, but Sinking City went back on Steam, and its developer basically said, "Please don't buy this. It's not the real game." Or the publisher's being a shithead. They then eventually DMCA'd it, which is Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which basically says, hey, this is actually ours and we want you to take it down. Most third-party hosting sites and things like that tend to just do it, and then they have like a review period of whatever their policy is, and then it may or may not go back up. But this is to sort of stave off various other lawsuits and many reasons for why the DMCA isn't a great piece of legislation, but here we are. Anyway, it forced the game back off Steam, so it's, I think, at present not on Steam at the moment. We'll go to the original story. So the original story is they did this DMCA and they took the thing down off Steam. The reason was Frogwares, which is a developer, they accused Nakon, the publisher, of pirating the Sinking City off a different hosting site. Who knows? There's so many that could have been from anywhere. And then pushing that up onto Steam, and they did their own like deep dive into the code on Steam, or maybe just the running of it, and they could tell that various fixes that would have been in later versions weren't there. So this is an older version of the Sinking City that's on Steam at the moment. This is just a little thing to bring up where this is coming from. Frogware's dispute with Nakon dates back to 2019, when it filed a lawsuit alleging the company tried to claim copyright of the Sinking City after its release, withheld milestone payments, and owed the developers around $1 million in unpaid royalties. So Frogware is basically saying, Nakon, you owe us money, and also stop saying you're the developer, because you're not. We're the developer, you're the publisher. We believe in a very short time we were able to collect extremely strong evidence to indicate this version of the game was pirated and contains content that Nakon has absolutely no rights to, which was DLC that was developed after the game was released. So some bullshit there, but then the update, which was Nakon came back to say, fuck you, Frogware, stop getting in the way of us making money. Nakon is contractually the sole exclusive distributor of the Sinking City game on Steam. So stop getting in the way, Frogwares, basically. Contrary to Frogware's allegations, Nakon has paid all amounts due. So as far as Nakon is aware, or concerned, they've paid all the money, and they are the sole distributor for Steam. So Frogwares have no business making DMCA threats, etc. They go back to highlight that the Paris Court of Appeal basically sided with Nakon, saying that Frogware's thing is manifestly unlawful. Thing is, Nakon are a French company, and Paris Court of Appeal, as you might imagine, is in Paris, and Paris is in France. Who do you think they're going to side with? You know, this should really have gone to the EU Court of Appeal, not the Paris Court of Appeal. Whatever. Anyway, poor shit going on between Frogwares and Nakon in the Stinking City. So this story from last week, which was Paradox took Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 away from Heartsuit Labs, who were the original developers, and subsequently they've had to lay off a bunch of people because they're not getting paid anymore. And if they're not getting paid to make Bloodlines 2, then they can't pay people salaries. So knock-on effect there. Employees at Heartsuit Labs, former developer of Vampire, the giant title, have been hit by a round of layoffs. Development comes just a week after publisher Paradox pulled development of the game from Heartsuit Labs, delayed the release indefinitely, and cancelled new pre-orders. So there's some shit happening with the game in general, but then also like a bunch of devs and a bunch of the narrative staff have been let go from Heartsuit Labs. There's been an update from Heartsuit Labs themselves, since this was all sort of rumor. Well, not rumor exactly, since employees themselves were saying it, but whatever. The company itself has come back to confirm, yes, there have been layoffs, small number of individuals, even though Twitter would suggest it's not a small number. A specific number was not given. They go on here to say that, well, we worked hard to find work for them to do. Obviously, with the loss of a pretty major game for them, that hasn't necessarily been possible. There are other games that they are working on, which is like several unannounced projects. So they are working on other games, but they just didn't have enough work for everybody. Anyway, we'll finish off anyway with some dumb shit. So the Navy and the Army have like a Twitch channel for some reason, and they occasionally host different things. This is them promoting an esport event for Call of Duty Warzone. The Navy are hosting it, and they were doing a Women of Warzone Twitch stream. The Navy turned off text chat for today's Women of Warzone Bootcamp Twitch stream, so some viewers took to spamming the chat with bombs and fire emoji, as you could see there. Wow. Like, of course they did. So this is like a kind of running thing once like the US military started trying to, propaganda and recruit across Twitch. There was a shit ton of resistance against it. Like nobody wanted this, except maybe like the Army, I guess. But what eventually happened is the Army have abandoned their Twitch altogether, and the Navy ended up having to train their streamers in how to address questions about war crimes. Really? Anyway, for that stream, they got rid of the questions because obviously there's no chat, so everyone had to do emojis, which is what resulted in bombs and fires and screaming babies and so on. But also, it was being rebroadcast on Twitter, and Twitter does not have an emote-only option, so you could enter chat, and one of the things they put down was Women of War Crimes, which is hilarious. It's like, how have you guys not figured out this shit yet? And well, obviously the US government isn't going to step in here because it's in their best interests to recruit more people. But like Twitch should be doing something about this. It's just stupid. Anyway, this is coming from a story, I think it was last week's story, where it was people were intentionally killing themselves in Trials of Osiris on Destiny 2, which is like their big PvP thing, because actually playing it is and getting the rewards for playing it is too onerous. So they just went, fuck it, I'm gonna get decent enough rewards, I'll just kill myself at the start of the fight. But this has since grown to a like collaborative effort between players. So there's been this is just a quote to basically say there's been long like complaints about cheating in Trials of Osiris, but also having to carry the team because you're not matchmade with good people, and then poor matchmaking, which leads to you going up against like seasoned Destiny players versus noobs who just got the one win out of maybe luck. But anyway, and then as pointed out last week, you need to get 7 consecutive wins to actually get the best stuff out of it. So players just said, fuck it, hey guy, tell you what, let's flip a coin, and if it's heads, I win, if it's tails, you win, which is basically what ends up happening. So they have the hack emblem, or the casino method, which is what it's more. Hack is more of like a Destiny thing, where they would wear this specific emblem to highlight to the other player, I am up for doing the casino method here, if you would like. And then they would privately message each other on whatever, Steam, PSN, whatever the IM thing you want to do is. Just point out Steam here because there is an actual random number generator thing on Steam. But you basically say, randomly choose a number, flip a coin, roll a dice, whatever it is. Whoever gets the highest number is the winner. So the other player just jumps off a cliff or lets themselves get shot or whatever. And in that way, you can boost wins, I suppose, and get that 7 in a row thing. There is a Trials report here thing that's pointing out the statistics. Turns out that 23,000 players so far, of the 23,000 players, 48% have no kills this week. which is like, it's 23,000 flawless PC players, which is the got 7 in a row, have no kills. How'd you pull that off? Weird. And then 69%, nice. And they even say nice. Good stuff, Eurogamer. Who's this? Tom. Good stuff, Tom. Have 5 or fewer kills, which is, you know, clearly they are employing this method. But Destiny have since disabled matchmaking. They've disabled the trials thing altogether to address this issue. It's just brilliant. It's some incredible game design you guys have. Maybe you should do something about it. Anyway, that was the game news for this week, from March, first week of March. Which thought. Some news for the channel. Finally got the game December video done. Took me a really long time, but it's done. I was planning on getting some other one-shot games out, like, as I mentioned last time, System Shock, PC Recording, and some other games, but I did also have like the Games of December thing hanging over me, and I also have the January and February one hanging over me too, so I wanted to focus on that instead. But it's out now. It's on the latest vids, wherever it is under my face. It's there somewhere. You can find it on the channel. Yeah, that's about it. There'll be more videos going up. Let me know what you think of them and this, and you'll find me in the socials. I forget which side it's on. I forget if I've mirrored this or not. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.